Let me ask you something strange. Imagine you have a $100 bill sitting on your desk. You've been saving it for 2 months. You worked extra hours for it. You skipped the dinners out, said no to the weekend trips, and every time you wanted to spend it on something stupid, you didn't. That $100 feels important. It feels heavy. You think twice before touching it. Now imagine you just got a $5,000 bonus at work. Unexpected. Just landed in your account on a Tuesday afternoon. Within 3 weeks, it's gone. New shoes, a weekend trip, a few nice dinners, a gadget you didn't need, and you barely remember spending it. Same money. Completely different behavior. Why does that happen? And here's the more important question. What does it mean for the first $10,000? You're trying to build right now? Because here's the thing most financial advice completely skips over. The problem isn't that people can't save $10,000. The problem is that most people don't actually value $10,000 the way they need to in order to keep it, grow it, and let it change their life. And until you understand why, at a psychological level, not just a logical one, you will keep earning more money, feeling like you should be further ahead, and wondering why the number in your savings account never seems to move. This video is about that gap, the invisible gap between knowing you should save and actually behaving like someone who does. And by the end of it, you're going to understand money in a way that most people never do. Let's talk about Mark. Mark is 27. He makes decent money, not rich but comfortable. He's been meaning to build up his savings for about 3 years now. Every January, he writes the same goal in his notes app. Save $10,000 this year. And every December, he looks at his account, sees call it 200, and tells himself next year will be different. The strange part? Mark isn't irresponsible. He's not gambling his money away. He doesn't have a shopping addiction. He pays his bills on time. He's a genuinely reasonable, intelligent person. So what's going wrong? Most people, when they look at someone like Mark, say the same things. He needs more discipline. He needs to budget harder. He needs to stop spending on things he doesn't need. And those things might be partially true, but they completely miss the deeper issue. Mark doesn't have a spending problem. Mark has a valuation problem. He doesn't truly understand what $10,000 means, not emotionally, not psychologically. He knows the number. He can say it. He can picture the bank account screen showing 5 figures, but his brain hasn't connected that number to what it actually does to a life. And so his behavior keeps treating $10,000 like a nice idea instead of a life-changing reality. And here's the uncomfortable truth. Mark is most people. Mark might even be you. So let's talk about what $10,000 actually is. And I don't mean the number. I mean what it represents. To understand this, we need to talk about how the human brain assigns value to money. Because your brain doesn't treat all money equally. This is one of the most well-researched areas in behavioral economics. And the findings are genuinely strange. Psychologists call it mental accounting. Your brain doesn't store money in one unified pool. It stores money in different mental buckets. And each bucket gets treated differently based on where the money came from, what it feels like, and what it's mentally labeled for. Money you earned slowly feels more valuable than money that arrived quickly. $100 you saved over 3 months feels more important than $100 you found in an old coat pocket. Same amount, different mental bucket, different behavior. This is why a tax refund, a bonus, or any money that feels like it arrived unexpectedly almost always gets spent faster than money you consciously earned and saved. Your brain doesn't register it as real savings. It registers it as extra. And the mental rule for extra money is spend it. Now here's where it gets really interesting. When your savings account sits at $800 or $1,200 or even $3,000, your brain doesn't fully protect it. Because at those numbers, the account doesn't feel different from zero in any meaningful way. You know intellectually that it's not zero. But emotionally, $3,000 still feels like one bad month away from nothing. It feels fragile. And your brain doesn't fight hard to protect things that feel like they're already gone. But something shifts when the number crosses into 5 figures. Not because $10,000 is magical, but because $10,000 crosses a psychological threshold that fundamentally changes how you see yourself in relation to money. There's a concept in psychology called identity-based behavior. The basic idea is this: you don't behave according to what you want. You behave according to who you believe you are. Someone who sees themselves as a smoker will find it almost impossible to quit, even if they desperately want to, Because every time they resist a cigarette, they're fighting their own identity. But the moment they shift the internal story from, "I'm trying to quit smoking," to "I'm not a smoker," everything changes. Same external behavior, completely different internal force driving it. Money works the same way. Most people deep down carry a quiet identity that sounds something like this. I'm someone who struggles with money. I'm someone who can't quite get ahead. I'm someone who earns okay but never seems to have much saved. That identity is invisible. They would never say it out loud. But it is running in the background of every financial decision they make. And it is more powerful than any budget spreadsheet you could ever create. Here's what saving your first $10,000 actually does. It doesn't just give you money. It breaks that identity. The moment you hit 5 figures in savings for the first time, something shifts in how you see yourself. You stop being someone who is trying to save and start being someone who has saved. And that shift, quiet as it seems, starts changing the decisions you make without you even consciously noticing. You start making different choices at restaurants, not because you're strict or disciplined, but because your internal story has changed, and the new story doesn't include blowing your savings on food you barely remember eating. You start thinking differently about your job, because now you have options. You start investing instead of just saving, because now you can actually see the next step from where you're standing. The first $10,000 doesn't just sit in your account. It rewrites the story you tell yourself about who you are with money. So why don't most people reach this threshold? If the first $10,000 is so powerful, why do so many smart, capable people keep spending it before they ever get there? 3 reasons, and all 3 are psychological. The first is present bias. Your brain is wired to dramatically overvalue things happening right now compared to things happening in the future. The pleasure of buying something today is immediate, physical, and certain. The benefit of having $10,000 saved in 6 months is distant, abstract, and uncertain. So when those 2 things compete for the same dollar, the present almost always wins. This is why telling yourself to just be patient doesn't work. You're asking your brain to fight. Millions of years of evolutionary wiring with a motivational quote. That's not a fair fight. The solution isn't more willpower. It's changing the game entirely. You have to make the future feel as real and immediate as the present. And we'll talk about how in a moment. The second reason is called the arrival fallacy. Most people believe they will finally feel financially secure once they reach a certain number. Once I have $10,000 saved, I'll feel okay. Once I make $80,000 a year, I'll feel stable. Once I pay off my debt, I'll feel free. But here's what actually happens. They reach the number, feel a brief moment of relief, and then the goalpost moves. Now they need $20,000 to feel secure. Now they need $100,000. The feeling they were chasing is always just out of reach, and because the reward never arrives the way they imagined, the motivation to keep saving slowly evaporates. This is why people blow their savings after hitting a milestone. It's not stupidity. It's the brain's very human response to a reward that didn't feel as good as expected. So it goes looking for a reward that does. The third reason is the most dangerous. It's called the abstraction problem. $10,000 is an abstract concept. It's a number on a screen. Your brain is not naturally wired to feel the weight of an abstract number the way it feels the weight of a physical experience. But a weekend trip to another city, that's concrete. Your brain can taste it, feel it, picture it. A new pair of shoes, immediate and tangible. A $600 dinner with your friends, where everyone laughs and the music is perfect and you feel alive, absolutely real. An investment that compounds quietly in the background. For 20 years while you sleep, your brain can barely process that sentence, let alone feel motivated by it. So your brain keeps trading the abstract future for the concrete present. Not because it's broken, but because it's doing exactly what it was built to do. And until you make the future feel as concrete as the present, you're going to keep losing that trade. Here is the deeper idea, the one that changes everything when it actually lands. $10,000 is not a savings goal. It is a transformation threshold. Below $10,000, money is something that happens to you. Expenses show up, money leaves, you refill, the cycle repeats. You're reactive. You're playing defense. Every financial decision is made from a position of scarcity, and scarcity thinking keeps you making small, short-term, emotionally driven decisions. Above $10,000, money starts being something you direct. You have a cushion, so decisions stop feeling dangerous. You have options, So you stop saying yes to things you should say no to simply because you need the money. Your brain shifts from survival mode to strategy mode. And in strategy mode, you make completely different choices. Better choices. Choices that compound. This is why the rich keep getting richer, and it has very little to do with income. Someone earning $150,000 a year with zero savings is still making scarcity brain decisions. Someone earning $60,000 a year with $15,000 saved is operating from a completely different mental platform. The savings account isn't just financial protection. It's a psychological operating system upgrade. And the tragic irony? The people who need this upgrade the most are the people whose scarcity mindset makes it hardest to build it. The less you have saved, the harder it feels to save. The harder it feels to save, the more you spend on comfort to cope with the stress of not having enough. And the more you spend on comfort, the less you save. It's a loop. And the only way out is to break it consciously, deliberately, and with a very clear understanding of what you're actually building toward. So what do you actually do with this? 3 things. First, make the goal concrete. Don't write $10,000 in your notes app. Write what $10,000 means in your actual life. Write, $10,000 means I don't panic if my car breaks down. $10,000 means I can say no to a job I hate without having a breakdown. $10,000 means I sleep through the night without running. Financial disaster scenarios in my head. Make the abstract number into a physical feeling. Your brain responds to feelings, not figures. Second, automate before you can argue with yourself. The moment any money hits your account, a portion of it needs to leave for savings before present bias. You has a chance to make a case for spending it. Not at the end of the month, not when you feel ready, immediately and automatically. Treat your savings transfer like a bill you have no choice but to pay, because your future self is counting on a payment you keep canceling. Third, protect your progress psychologically. Every time you watch your savings number grow, even by $50, even by $200, acknowledge it. Not to be dramatic about it, but because your brain needs to register the reward of saving, the same way it registers the reward of spending. Most people never celebrate the boring wins, so their brain never builds a positive feedback loop around saving. Create that loop deliberately. Make saving feel like something, not like nothing. Here's the thing about the first $10,000. It's not the most money you'll ever save. It's not going to retire you. It's not going to change your life overnight in any visible, dramatic way. You won't feel different the morning after you hit it. You probably won't even celebrate properly. But it will do something invisible and permanent. It will prove to the version of you that always believed money was something that happened to you, that you are actually capable of directing it. And that proof, quiet and private and completely yours, is the foundation that every single thing you build financially afterward sits on. The first $10,000 is not a number. It is the moment your relationship with money changes direction. Most people are waiting to feel ready before they start building it. But the feeling doesn't come first. The building comes first, and the feeling follows. Mark figured that out in year 4. You don't have to wait that long. Start today, automate tomorrow, and 3 years from now, the version of you sitting on the other side of that threshold will understand exactly what this video was really about. Because it was never about the money. It was about who you become on the way to it.